So for our agenda today, the objective, school leaders will be able to identify their school brand and understand how to use their brand to find ideal candidates. Part in the minutes here, their own files actually told us that's what it's supposed to be for 10 minutes, so it's actually longer. So we'll go through an introduction, school brand, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the ideal candidate profile is, and then last, we'll go through some closing thoughts, and then I'll answer any questions that you have. I'm actually going to move kind of quickly with this, just because I do want to answer any questions that you have. So I'll try to condense this to about 12 minutes, and then we'll use the rest for Q&A at the very end. Okay? If I'm moving too quickly, just raise your hand, and I'll slow down. All right. Okay. So my name is Malcolm Davis. I'm the Director of School Support and Outreach for Selected. Previous to joining Selected, I was the Associate Director of Recruitment for Uncommon Schools in both Brooklyn and Camden. Previous to joining Uncommon, I was a Deputy Campus Director and also a Teaching Fellow with Citizen Schools in New York City and East Harlem. So roughly for about the past 4 to 5 years, I've been involved in hiring, either driving applicants into the pipeline or as a hiring manager and or a recruiter assisting hiring managers to place candidates at different school sites. And so when we talk about school brand and school culture, the school brand really starts with defining your school culture. And so on Selected, these are actually the school culture questions that you answer whenever you sign up for a profile with us, and we can talk about that at the very end. But we basically boiled it down into these 5 buckets because we believe if you can answer these 5 buckets, you really have a strong idea of what you do well, and then ultimately that'll help match you very purposefully with people that do something very similar, looking for that type of opportunity in your school. And so we're talking instructional model, instructional priority, curriculum, classroom management, and then lastly, discipline. And so we'll go through each of those buckets now. And so here's an example of a school profile of an urban community charter in Camden that uses Selected. And so as you'll see here, inside of instructional model, it's inquiry-based, and then on the other side of the spectrum is direct/explicit instruction. For our instructional priority, whole child versus academic achievement. The curriculum will be teacher created versus school provided. Classroom systems, teacher decided versus school-wide consistency. And then last would be discipline, restorative justice, no excuses. And we really wanted to take the standpoint of like the polar opposites or the polar ends, and then allowing you to say, are you on one side or the other? Do you find yourself leaning somewhere in the middle? And so again, this was an urban community charter that believes in the whole child instructional priority. All of their teachers write their curriculum, and then it's a restorative justice policy. So a candidate, that should be the type of candidate that they're looking to identify and hire, right? And so we're now talking about another school that utilizes our platform. So this is an example of an urban charter management organization in New York City. Very, very different, right? And so ultimately you would think the types of teachers that they're looking for would be very, very different, because they want someone that is interested in direct and explicit instruction, academic achievement as opposed to whole child, someone that wants their curriculum written for them, they don't want to write it themselves, no excuses, discipline versus restorative justice. But what I found in my personal experiences, and certainly what we found at Selected, is that these 2 organizations oftentimes are looking for the exact same teacher candidate, right? They're looking for someone to fill a seat as opposed to someone that fits their culture. And so when you're able to identify where you are on that spectrum, it gives you a leg up in identifying who's going to stay at your schools and be successful, right? Because at the end of the day, recruitment really comes down to retention. And so we've identified where we are on the spectrum of those 5 buckets, you know. So now we want to articulate what our school brand is. We figured it out, we know what we do well. And so 2 pieces, is say it, is do it, right? So of course you want to be able to articulate it. Your hiring managers, your recruiters, everyone that's responsible with the recruitment process should be able to articulate what your school brand is. So should your janitor, so should teachers in your school. If your school brand is what you say it is, everyone will know. And then the second piece is you want to demonstrate it. So it's great to say, right? People say things all the time, but we then follow up and say, well, are you going to do it? What's that action associated with it? And so once you're able to say what your school brand is, you now have to show it. And so usually the first place it happens is in the interview process, when someone interacts with the recruiter on a phone screen, when they interact with your website looking for your application. Those touch points and each and every touch point they have with your team should reinforce what your school culture is. By the time they come in for an in-person interview, that person should be able to articulate back to you what your culture is because they have interacted with it so many times. If they can't, then maybe that means that you haven't been very purposeful in how you market yourself to your candidates. And then once you're able to identify what makes you unique, right? And so we talk about being unique. So many of the schools that we work with have some unique component to them, but many of them don't market it. They don't leverage it. They don't talk about it. We met with a great school. I met with a school here in Philadelphia. I won't say names, eco-friendly. Before I walked into the school, I had no idea. I spent extensive time on the website. I know people that work there and have worked there. No clue that that's what they did. And walking out of the school, now that I know it, I can articulate that brand much better than any candidate that I interact with that's interested in that and that's also like it. And so, once you identify what makes you unique, start to leverage it. Be professional development. Are you creating a tutor corps or a teacher residency program? What are you doing to then externally be able to push forward what your brand is so that other people learn what it is as well? It's twofold, right? That way, it's actively recruiting, and it's also passive. They're going out to interact with candidates, but once they hear about what makes your school unique, they're not coming to you as well if those are the opportunities that they're looking for. So we're going to go through two examples of how schools have done a great job of leveraging their brands to find candidates. And so the first one is going to be an example of Gateway School, which is located in New York City. It's a private school that specializes in special education. And so they realized really early on in their inception, teacher development and professional development is imperative for their success. And so when you go to their website, and this is just a small piece, Wayne told me to cut it down. I had almost the whole thing there, so we cut it down, too many words. So when you go to their website, they tell you why they focus on PD, the names of the people leading the PD, where have they done it before, right? Like, why are they qualified to let you know? If you're interested, you can learn more. And then through conversations with us, they're now in the process of leading these externally now, right? So now they're interacting with students and teachers and alumni and people in New York City that are looking for jobs, leading PD around special education. They leverage what they do well, they know what makes them unique, and now they're actively using it to identify teachers that fit their model. The second is going to be Match Education in Boston. Mastery has a similar program, teacher residency. It's great. We realize that you have the ability to develop teachers. We create a pipeline of teachers that come into your school that have already bought into the process. They're great to fill in roles. Usually these residency programs is for a year, and then they come in and they're ready to teach full time usually after that, right? These are folks in the process of getting certification. I see a lot of schools leverage this to find really strong STEM candidates, right? Going to engineering programs, science programs. You know that you have 2 years bought in where you can teach them how to teach, but they already have the core understanding of how to teach science and math in secondary and high school, right? Imperative. And so Match Education, when you go to their website, they lay out very quickly and clearly, I don't know why it looks like this now, but here at the very bottom, they talk about the program. When we met with Toby, who's the director of recruitment there at Match, he was able to tell us about 5 assistant principals that started in the teacher residency program and are now school leaders. As a teacher, if you tell me that during the process, I'm excited, right? Because I can see the clear pathways to where I want to go. Don't just talk about it, show it and prove it as well. And so once you're able to figure out what you do, where are you on the spectrum, what makes you unique, now you leverage the ideal candidate profile. Now I know who the ideal candidate is for me. You create a scoring rubric to make it an equitable and fair process now. You anchor in the questions that you ask throughout the process about mission fit and core alignments to what you do, right? You want to ask them about their experiences in charters of public schools and private schools. You want to ask them about relationship building. Tell me about a time that you got feedback. How did you take it? How did you re-implement it, right? But the key here is that you want to align around the ideal candidate profile. Everyone has to be brought in and invested, because one person will add additional friction to the process that'll slow you down exponentially. The second piece, again, a scoring rubric makes it objective. It's no more, I'm not sure, or why aren't you sure? Well, on the mission question, I gave them a 2 because of X, Y, and Z. It anchors it in something much more tangible and takes away the subjective feeling of the process. And then again, it should be used by all staff in the hiring process. From your phone screen all the way to your in-person interview, you're scoring off of this rubric, you're using the questions from this rubric because again, it makes your process objective. I've had conversations with candidates that interviewed at the same school One candidate says, hey, they were really quick with their feedback, great customer service. Second candidate told me I haven't heard from this school in 4 weeks. Same interview process, same school, two very different experiences. This person that it went well for, that's the expectation. They don't talk about that. The person that waited 4 weeks, they told everyone that they knew, right? And so you always want to be able to make sure that everyone has a great customer service process. And so closing thoughts, and after this, I'll get into any questions that you may have. I hope you have some. The first piece here is honestly identify and articulate your school brand. I underlined and bolded it honesty on purpose because it's imperative that you're honest about it. I talk to a lot of schools around like, this is what we want to be. I'm glad that is in your roadmap. You identify where you eventually want to get to, but where are you right now? Because that's the experience you have to sell teachers on in this moment. Talk to them about where you ultimately want them to go, or where you plan to go, but own where you are right now and be able to articulate that in a way that teachers get excited about that opportunity. Again, make your brand visible in actions, your interview process, day-to-day operations, professional development. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Normalize your team around the core values and questions that need to be asked during the process. That's pretty much self-explanatory. And I'm telling you from experience, one person will stop you from hiring the people that you're looking for. Everyone has to be owned and invested in the process. One person adds friction that you can't afford. And then the last piece, align around your ideal candidate profile with your school culture and brand in order to match proactively with candidates. It leads to higher retention rates. You're getting people that are bought in and invested, and you're not just filling seats with people that are leaving October. These are people that are going to go through the ranks. They'll be there the year after. They're looking to become assistant principals. They want to be a school leader. They want to go through the process with you, and they're brought in a way that many other candidates may not be, because you've already shown them what you're about, and they can see and feel and know your school culture. And so, again, my name is Malcolm Davis. I am the Director of School Support and Outreach with Selected. Selected, for those of you that don't know, and I did this over there and did the exact same thing. So Selected is a school and teaching matching, a school and teacher matching platform. We call it like a dating app for schools and teachers. So as opposed to having to post jobs, you can actually go directly into Selected and connect with teachers that are actively looking and job seeking in this moment. We're in Philadelphia, I actually live here, so we're in New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, DC, and Baltimore, and also Boston. So if you want any more information about Selected, feel free to reach out to me, malcolm@getselected.com. The business card in front of you is Wayne Tams, who again is our CEO and co-founder. So if you have any questions about this presentation or about Selected, feel free to reach out to me in one of those.